Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Doug Shoemaker here with the Shoemaker Loan Team and the Home Foundation, and I'm here with my friend Julian. Julian is one of our first Home Foundation members that not only did we get to help him buy a home, Mikhail Patterson and I, but Julian also is a local business owner, and that is what the Home Foundation is all about. So, Julian, tell everybody about you, man.
Hey, Doug, thanks for your introduction. Appreciate for being here. This is my first time being on a podcast like this. So, like Doug said, I'm Julian Andes. I'm active duty military stationed at Scott Air Force Base. Been in for about 15 years. And also I have a part-time business, which is a home inspection business and a commercial inspection business as well, which I started a couple of months ago. The home inspection side, I got into home inspection because of my career, and my AFSC in the Air Force is structural, which means we're trained to do construction from masonry, framing, carpentry, welding, and locksmithing. So we do all of that stuff. I was trained to do that for about 6 months back in Gulfport, Mississippi.
Overhead welding?
Yeah, we do.
You ever catch on fire doing overhead?
Oh no. So yeah, on this base, so depending on where you're stationed at, you can get a lot of hands-on with welding, but on this base we don't really do a lot of welding. But yeah, I experienced that before, and it's not fun. But I learned all of that stuff in the Air Force. The Air Force trained me, and that's one of the reasons why I transitioned or trying to transition into the home inspection world or the inspection industry. With my knowledge in the construction field, I think it would be beneficial to leverage it and also help my fellow airmen or my fellow military members out there, especially, like we PCS a lot, like we move from different state, and, like based on my experience, moving from different places, I've been purchasing houses, and I think some home inspectors are not really, are mediocre. I'm not trying to be overly confident, but at the same time, I learned all of that skills in the Air Force, and I know what to look for, and that's one of the reasons why I thought that my skills will be beneficial. And last year I did the certification for it and passed the exam, and now I'm doing it part-time. So
what else, man, about your background with the Air Force do you think is going to be beneficial to you in owning and running a local business?
There's a ton. One of it is the discipline. You being prior military as well, you could attest to that as well, right? But the discipline that we were trained to do a certain job, to wake up early in the morning just to run in the winter months, in the heat, whatever. Training, being accountable, followership and leadership. Those are the traits that we learned. No matter what your AFSC, you can be somewhere. When you transition out, you can use all of that skill to be a great, business owner, to be a great employee, whatever you wanted to do.
It's funny, man. Sometimes I feel like I can barely remember what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of years since I was in the Air Force, but I was 3E452. How I remember that, I do not know.
That AFSC, yeah. I think that's fuels, or fuels.
Yeah, maintenance.
Yep. Yeah, so that's part of the CE unit as well. So with my unit, we have those AFSCs. So we learn from each other. We got plumbers, we got electricians, we got HVAC technicians, pest control technicians. It's all in one unit, and that's where I'm exposed to all of those crafts.
Yeah,
and when we're deployed, we all gather together to build some building or whatever it is. And that's where my knowledge, comes through play, because I know how to do construction, framing, and all that, masonry, but I also know a little bit of everything, because I see it from the ground up.
Yeah, I always enjoyed that too, man. That was a really good group in the reserve. So many different traits that all came together and just helped each other out.
Yeah, it's great.
I never thought about how well that would help you transition into, especially being a home inspector, because your wealth of knowledge is just massive with all the trades.
Yeah, definitely. And the only thing, because I fairly look young, I'm trying, not trying to like raise my own chair. A lot of people think, this guy just graduated high school, but when I tell them like, hey, I've been in the Air Force for 15 years and this is what I do in the Air Force, and they're going to start like, oh man, wow, like then they start to trust me, But, like you said, there's a lot of stuff that I learned from the Air Force. Unfortunately, I'm transitioning out in the Air Force. I'm going through a MEB process, which is the Medical Evaluation Board. If you guys don't know, it's basically, if you have a disqualifying condition in the military, they will review your documents, your medical records, and see if you're fit or unfit for duty. 100% or 99.9% I'm going to be discharged or medically retired because of my my condition. I'm planning to do 20, but unfortunately my body couldn't do it anymore. I've been deployed a lot, and it just takes a toll on my body and the family as well. So I'm going through that process and also transitioning out to the civilian world. So I'm hoping by next month, I'm going to put the gas on and 100% work on my business,
Well, brother, that's what our community is all about, is, taking our clients from, the business worlds that we live in that need a home inspector or need a plumber or an electrician or a financial advisor, you name it. And man, if we can have people that are our military family serving our military family, or our first responders, you guys all serving each other. I just feel like that discipline, that integrity and service before self, all those things, they translate into civilian life too.
Yeah.
And bring them there. And
definitely,
I think what you guys do is really special, man. So you're transitioning. What are some of the programs that, you were talking about some of the things that you have available to you. Let's kind of go through that a little bit. Like if people, their family, their friends, if, they're going through what you're going through and maybe they don't know who to talk to, what's that like? When you're considering exiting, what's this process that you're going through?
Absolutely. So, like you mentioned, there's a lot of opportunities out there, transitioning out. One of the things that the Air Force or the military in general offers is the Skill Bridge program. So basically, you'll be TDY, we call it temporary duty assignment, to whatever company that you choose, and then they'll train you to be whatever you want it to be. Like, let's say, for myself, I did a digital marketing course. So this is like an online course. I didn't have to do like a company, partner with a company, and then they'll hire me if they needed me. It's different. Like, it's just basically they're going to train me to learn about digital marketing. And shout out to Allegiant Vets. Those are the guys that helped me be in their program. So those guys are part of the Skill Bridge program, because not a lot of companies can just, be included in that program. You have to be vetted by the military, and there's like a process. And Allegiant Vets is one of them. And they are the ones that I'm going for my course to do the marketing side of business. I just started my business. I don't know about marketing, and I learned it the hard way that marketing is really the way to grow your business and to be successful in any industry.
You hate to think it, but the analogy I was always given was, if you were going to be a restaurateur and you hired Gordon Ramsay, and you had the most amazing wait staff, the most beautiful ambiance, everything. It's just the most fabulous place that could ever exist. Well, if you put it in the middle of the rainforest, it's probably not going to succeed. I don't care how perfect everything is. Mm-hmm. And when I first heard that, I was like, wow. So whatever it is I think I'm good at, I've actually got to become an even better marketer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool that they have that course for you.
Yeah. They have a lot of courses, not just marketing. Like I said, like they have like PMP, project management, professional, Lean Sigma 6, green belt, black belt, all of those stuff are available to all the transitioning military members. And, this is a TDY. So that means once they get accepted, they have up until 180 days, and they can basically go to this place or whatever company it is, or go online and do that course for 180 days. That's the max that you can do. You can do less, is whatever you get approved for. Typically, your commander will approve it. I haven't heard anyone that didn't get approved from this program. And another program that they offer so
basically you're meaning you would retire or exit service, and then for 180 days, you'd still be paid.
No. So you're still active duty.
So you've not exited. It's just
Yes, it's
180
yeah.
You're
So
still active, but you're allowed to do this.
the 180-day
additional training. That's
Yes,
really cool.
yeah. So you're getting paid the same, but you're not coming to work every day. You're going to you report to the company or whatever course that you applied for, which for me is Allegiant Vets. So 180 days. Well, for me is like about 106 days. Because I didn't have enough time for my day. Because they're gonna time it where you separate, so you can't do it after you separate. So it's basically your transition period from.
What other programs have you found, man?
Oh yeah. Another thing that the Air Force offers is the TAP. It's called Transition Assistance Program. So basically, this is a mandatory program for transitioning military. Basically, they teach you a lot of stuff there, from resume writing, starting your own business. There's actually a course or a mini course about this. It's called Boots to Business. The military partner with the SBA, the Small Business Association, and they do offer those courses for those military that wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I actually signed up for this coming October and see what they offer. I already started my business, but I wanted to see what else they can offer for me. And based on the details that I found, they don't just like help you to start from zero to ground to up and running. They help you, like your foundation. They help you market your business. Like meet all this or people, network around your local community. Try to find this contract on base. This program called Apex Accelerator. Basically, it'll help you get a contract, and they pick veterans first. They have priority for especially disabled veterans. So if you own a business or offer services for the military or any bases in the States, you on the priority list where you can get that contract.
Is that pretty widely known?
Like I said, I haven't known about this until I get to that course. I got to that course, and not a lot of us knew about this, and it was mind blowing for me. Like all of this information, all of this help, especially disabled veterans. Oh man, you guys have the advantage, like with mortgage, like here in Illinois, what's the percentage for?
You're 70% or more.
Yeah,
it's completely waived. And hey, for anybody who didn't know, that there was some laws that were just recently changed, that there was a little bit of ambiguity on some of the higher priced homes because it's a $250,000 tax exemption that the state of Illinois gives a disabled veteran of 70% or more. That's about a third of your home value usually. So the question was coming up, especially in Chicago and some other areas where home prices are much higher. It's like, well, hey, so what you're saying is if my home's worth $750,000 or more, then I don't get the tax break anymore. And there's certain counties I know, because I called myself. Yeah. Their answer was, if your house is worth this much or more, you don't deserve, is specifically what was said.
Yeah.
And I said, well, wait a minute. What if I bought a house that was $730, but it appreciated and now it's worth $755?
It doesn't make sense.
I lose my pension. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, that's can't be right.
Yeah.
So recently those laws were changed to eliminate the, whatever vagueness they thought might have existed. And now it's treated as a true exemption. So if a home is valued over that amount, they'll pay taxes on the amount above the exemption, but they're not going backwards and having to pay taxes on the rest of it. So, but yeah, that is a really, really awesome benefit. Yeah. But yeah, to your point, man, I've learned over the last few months. I got the privilege of going to the VFW convention in Springfield and the one in Belleville that we had not just a few months back. And I was overwhelmed by the amount of really... everything from, if you want to play golf, if you served at all, PGA Hope, whether you're honorable or whatever you have, if you served our country, they will give you free golf lessons.
Wow. I don't play golf, but, I'll try.
It's like, I think it's Lincoln Law Firm. I think it's the one that gives free legal care to veterans. But there's just all these great programs out there that too many people just don't know about. And, making like what we talked about, that's one of our missions with the Home Foundation, is to work with people like Christopher at the Eagle's Nest and Amanda at Illinois Joining Forces. I'm going to have to introduce you to her because her sole purpose is to find all these different organizations that do amazing things for our veterans and connect them. So Christopher, myself, her, there's all these different people that will talk to each other all the time about different local people that might be in need. But I was just blown away about all the stuff out there. And tell me a little bit more about some of the things that you've seen that you thought might really help you in your business.
SBA. So they're your main point of contact. If you want to run your business and grow it to its full potential, those guys will definitely help you with marketing. Like I said, they offer, boots to business, networking, marketing, all of that stuff. If you go to their website, they have like a bunch of courses available, and it gets filled. It gets filled pretty quick. So they offer it on base too at Scott. So they use Scott Air Force Base for some of their classes, specifically the boots to business. Not sure about the other courses, but the SBA, I didn't even know about those guys, but they have they have all the resources.
Yeah.
Like I was mentioning earlier, the lady I was talking to, she's the counselor or the main lead here in Illinois. She's at Edwardsville. She does all of that. Like I had a one-on-one talk with her, and then she was like, "Man, you have all of this resources for you. All you got to do is ask."
Yeah.
It's like, man.
Let me ask you, man, because it seems like we hear a lot about how difficult the transition from military life to civilian life is, being an entrepreneur versus, going into, working for someone else, whatever the case may be. Why do you think people are more aware of these resources? Because it sounds like they made you go through this when you... when you're going through your exit.
Yeah, when we exit out. So I think this is just my personal opinion. I think a lot of the times military members are so sold on after they transition, they need to find a job. They need to work again or be an employee again. And maybe some of them have the mentality or the mindset of starting their own business. Those are a few. A lot of the times when transitioning military members, they want to work for the government again. And they don't care about, SBA, boots to business, or, they only care about their resume or, how to secure that other job when they transition out. And that's one of them. And I think, another part is, they just got to ask, a lot of my young troops, I'm in charge of about 20 people. And a lot of the times, man, like I have to tell them here's where to go. Here's who can help. Here's what to do. And that's it. And they were like, wow, I didn't know about this, Sergeant Andes. And I was like, well, you didn't ask.
You're in your pocket.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys have the advantage because you got Google, you got mobile phones, you can Google all of this stuff and it'll spit out all the info for you. And you'll be amazed how this young generation, you need to hold their hand, and tell them where the information is at. And that's a big part of it. That's why they don't know a lot of stuff. And that's when us leaders, NCOs or officers, we go out there and introduce those guys about the program that your foundation or other foundation offers. There's one guy in my shop. I told him about the Heroes Care program. This is based in Missouri. They stopped by at Scott Air Force Base Airman's Attic, and they mentioned about, hey, we have this program called the Heroes Care. We have this clothes, grocery store, and you can get them for free. And I was talking to this airman, and I was like, dude, you got to go to this spot, man. And it's been a month, and I asked him, hey, how's that spot? It's like, sorry, Andes, I haven't even touched it yet. I didn't got into the email yet. And I was like, all right, let me go there and see what it entails for. And I'm going to review it and tell you guys how it is. So I did. I went with my wife, and I was amazed what they got over there. They have a mini grocery store, and these are all brand new, fresh stuff. It's not open bottles of pickles or whatever, it's fresh, They have clothes, they have literally a section man cave, and you have like gadgets, electronics, clothing, shoes.
Sure, you want to tell everybody about this?
Hey,
it sounds like a very well tips to me.
Yeah, if you guys are stationed at Scott or around Missouri area, you guys need to check Hero Scare. You can't go there every day. It's like they have like a quarterly thing, so they don't get overwhelmed. But still, they have a lot of stuff. Suits. I went there because I wanted to try, and also I wanted to see they offer free suits. So I went there and I was like, where are the suits? And then I looked at it. I checked the tag. I saw the suits. I checked the tag. It's like $800 to $1,000. And these are not like cheap suits, like.
I think back to our point, man, there's just so many great services and great things out there that people just don't know about yet.
Exactly.
And so you all make sure you're spreading this information, because that's how we get this word out.
Yes.
Wow, that's fascinating. Man, what else would you say about that transition? I've heard it. A lot of people talk about it. Again, I wasn't in long enough to experience this, but a lot of people that were in 20 years or more, it's like a lot of our enlisted folks rise to a level where, because of their rank, people have to listen to them. And, then they get in the civilian world and people don't have to listen to them anymore. And they, that can be very difficult,
Oh yeah.
What would be the best advice that you would have for somebody that is, is being a leader, somebody that's transitioning in the civilian world? How would you prepare them for that?
Like those kind of stuff for like, it's based on personality and the individual, how they handle what they learn in the military and how they're going to transfer it to the civilian world, how they're going to handle it, how they're going to accept the fact that they're not an NCO anymore, they're not an officer anymore. They can't just be bullying people in the civilian world. And for me as an NCO, my thing is like knowing that we're all humans, like I'm going to let them know like, hey, when you transition out, you're not in the military side anymore, man. These guys are not trained. These are not they're not well disciplined. Maybe some of them are disciplined, but for the most part, they're not trained to be disciplined like us, to follow orders and, to just shut up and collar. This is what the Marines said, right? But they're not trained like that, But another thing that I tell my troops, man, like, just get the positive or any positive things that you learn from the military. Followership is important because you can't be a good leader without being a good follower. Once you know how to be a good follower, that's when you implement that and become, this is a buzzword right now, emotional intelligence. Even in the military, there's a lot of NCOs officers that doesn't have emotional intelligence. I guess that's what they have those courses now. And that's the thing. As long as you know how to take care of your people and how to, carry yourself around people, not being, overly confident because, I serve in the military, I was an NCO, I was an officer, you can't talk to me like that. You need to stop that mentality, it's all about, the people, because, in the Air Force, military, mission first, right? But me, I always tell my troops, man, like people first, and the mission will come. When you take care of your people, your mission will get done.
That's an amazing trait, and I don't think that's probably something you develop over time.
Oh yeah, like I said, it's based on personality, and me being me. I know I grew up, already have that servant leadership mentality, where my mission is to serve my people. The Air Force keep telling you the airmen are the greatest asset. But not a lot of us follow that stuff. And that's when you see a lot of military members having a hard time transitioning out because they into that mindset where mission first, I got to get this done. I got to get this task done. I don't care about you. You can't.
People.
Yeah. That's why they having a hard time. They need to get that mentality out of the way and learn that these guys are not military. They didn't grow up on that, that mindset. Yeah.
Do you think in what you've experienced with the transition program so far, do they teach you this, or what are they doing, or is there something you're aware of that they can do to help prepare you guys?
Yeah, that's a good question. So with the transition assistance program, they don't really teach you like leadership, followership like that. They expect you to kind of like know what's going on and you know, like have the experience already. But basically those program will only help you, let's say resume writing, how to look for a job, how to, let's say you want to work for a federal agency, how to tailor your resume for you to get accepted in the, you know, the federal world, federal agency world. And also they, you know, like I mentioned earlier, entrepreneurship, you know, they don't teach you like, you know, the stuff that I was talking about. Other than that, it's still a good program because those type of stuff, man, like rarely an NCO will teach you about that, you know, unless they have experience, you know.
It's probably trickle down, man. If their NCO taught them that, they probably will. But if theirs didn't,
yeah, exactly. They won't, you know what I'm saying? Like I can't control a lot of people, a lot of the NCOs out there. You know, I wish I could, you know, and help the airmen out. And you know, that's slowly what we're doing, you know, in the Air Force. Like we always have what we call airmen's time. Basically, we set aside a time or a day for the airmen to talk about whatever, you know, and that's when when they have questions about, hey, finance, you know, sometimes we'll bring in like local businesses in, you know, in the shop or on base, and they'll brief the airmen about financial planning, budgeting, buying a house. Like lenders will go out there and, you know, teach them, you know, the benefits and stuff like that. So yeah, so with the transition program and stuff like that, it's helpful, but you got to go ask and see what you need, whatever resources that you need.
They're not chasing you down.
They're not chasing you down. I mean, the TAP, the Transition Assistance Program, those are mandatory. But after that, you're on your own, bud. You know,
Yeah.
you gotta
do.
Yeah, you gotta go out there and ask.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Well, man, you know, obviously for our military and first responder community, your background, just in what we talked about today, everything you've done for the last 15 years makes you highly qualified, you know, for your business as a home inspector. What are some other things about, you know, what you're excited about going into your home inspection business that you feel like you're going to be able to do differently because of your background, or for maybe some of our non-military or first responder folks? Let's face it, you look like you're 17 years old. So
Thank you.
you know, you've got 15 years of experience in this, but so just real quickly, tell everybody, why you and why your company and what makes you different.
Yeah, so my company is called Plus Ultra Home Inspection. So Plus Ultra, you know, I got that from, actually it's an anime, you know, like from an anime. Basically, we go above and beyond. We don't just settle for less. You know, you experience this. A lot of home inspectors, they just check boxes, you know, but we do extra stuff. You know, we use the advanced technology. And I know a lot of home inspectors will say that, but we do like crawl space. If I can't go down the crawl space, we have a robot that goes down there and videotape the crawl space.
Oh, wow.
You know, I don't just settle for like picture in the, you know, like the opening and call it a day. I have a crawl space that goes in there and record it. You know, so that way, you know, sometimes you'll see like termite damage there, you know, and you won't even know until you really go there. But before, I used to low crawl in there, you know, like, and it, you know, it's good, but you know, sometimes it's dangerous out there, you know, because it could be wet and damp, and there's like electrical wiring. So I invested on, you know, technology to be able to help my clients with, you know, whatever it is down there that I need to educate them. And another thing that set me apart from other inspectors, like I mentioned, my experience, you know, like we built facilities from the ground up. I was a part of a unit in Las Vegas. It's called the Red Horse Squadron. So we basically deploy to austere environment, and we build facilities from the ground up, from slab, you know, to the roof. And I had the opportunity to be part of that unit and be able to manage, you know, construction from the ground up. And that's what set me apart. A lot of, you know, home inspectors, I wouldn't say, you know, most of them, but some of them doesn't really have the experience of construction. They know the theory and all of that stuff, but being hands-on and actually putting their hands on, you know, buildings and roofs and being up there, what sets me apart, you know, just looking on the roof, I already know what's going on. And, you know, like I said, experience, advanced technology, also client care, you know, like it's all about how you talk to your client too, you know, like especially you being a mortgage officer, you know, lending officer, you have to know how to cater to each individual because everyone is different, especially when you're buying a house. It's the most stressful thing, you know. So I learned how, you know, in the military, I learned how to talk like, you know, with my troops, you know, and do like speeches and all of that in front of a lot of people. So I learned that, I honed that skill, and I learned how to read people, like, how am I going to approach this guy or my client like this, you know. It's how you show or discuss the information that you found or you find in the inspection, you know, because, you know, a lot of times realtors will hate you if you like scare the buyers, you know, and if you don't know what you're talking about, you're going to be like, oh man, they're going to back out, you know what I mean? So it's all about.
Sometimes people get excited and want to know more than they know. I mean, you know, we've seen some of the inspections where, you know, they're kind of acting on behalf of the professional, like if a sewer needs to be scoped. Mm-hmm. Well, how about just saying I recommend the sewer be scoped? Don't say, hey, I think this stuff probably collapsed and you know, whatever. Yeah, I recommend having a professional do this because these are all clay pipes and you have no idea what might happen.
Exactly.
You know, but there's been some that it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
It's how you say it, you know. And some clients, they're gonna be like they want to learn a lot, you know. They want to learn a lot of this. Obviously, the house they're buying is a huge investment. So you have, as a home inspector, I learned how to set boundaries where, you know, I'll give you the facts, you know, that's it. You know, if I know how to fix stuff, which I do, I'm gonna tell you a good recommendation of what to do with it, you know. Yeah. And specifically if it's about roof or let's say a plumbing, you know, I don't know a lot about plumbing, you know, but still I learned from, you know, different crafts that I work with. I know a little bit of plumbing, but I won't dig deep into it and be like, hey, you need to do this, that, you know, like you said. Yeah. Recommend a plumber, you know, that's it. And don't scare them like, hey, it's going to collapse, you know, you got to.
They're already going through a lot.
Yeah.
They're scared to death. Yeah. Market where homes are going to the highest prices they ever had. They're scared about that. They're scared about rates. They're scared about so many things. They don't need undue pressure for really aren't an issue. They've got to be called out. But we usually will tell our clients before they get the chance of meeting the home inspector, we'll kind of walk them through, hey man, their job is to find things wrong with this home. It doesn't mean this is a bad house.
Yeah, exactly.
But anything that could possibly, that they see that could possibly cause anything, they're going to put it in there. Mm-hmm. The things that are red or, you know, that they say are high caution, that's what you want to worry about. Yeah. The little stuff, you guys talk about that, but it's not anything that means it's a bad house. Mm-hmm. You could go and do an inspection on a brand new construction home and you're going to find stuff.
Yes, definitely. We do a lot of those new construction phase 2 pre-drywall inspection. And we saw, I mean, it's not the builder's fault. I mean, he's in charge, but at the same time, he's in a time crunch as well, you know, and subcontractors miss a lot of stuff. We're all human. And that's the best way to do is hire a third-party inspector. They'll have their own inspector, but, you know, you don't know if it's conflict of interest or whatnot, but I would definitely get a third-party inspector if you're buying a new house because there's so many stuff that could go wrong, especially after they put that drywall, you won't see a thing, you know, after that, you know, like maybe there's going to be a leak there, you know. I'm not trying to scare someone, but, you know, this is just one of the stuff that we do also, you know, like new construction and, you know, phase 2 pre-drywall inspection.
For the average consumer, man, what do you think is the biggest thing that they should worry about that they're not? And what do you think is the thing that comes up that, you know, they act like the world's going to catch on fire and it's just nothing at all?
All right. Let's start with, you know, like the small stuff they think is going to be big, you know. Well, obviously cracking, you know, like there's specific cracks that you need to look at on walls or foundation. Because a lot of the homeowners are like, oh man, the brick is cracking, you know, the foundation is bad, you know. No, I mean, there's, you know, home inspectors, we are trained to look at those cracks if they're bad or they're like just regular movement, settlement, you know. Obviously houses, you know, 100 years old will have a bunch of cracks, you know. Yeah. What you don't want to see is like cracks as big as my fist, you know what I'm saying? And I've seen those in the foundation basement. and it's really bad. I mean, I told it was an investor who was trying to buy the property, and I told him, hey, and this is a vertical crack that span across the foundation, and that's double whammy right there, you know. And that's when you tell him, like, hey, this is a major thing, you know. But if it's like a crack, like a 1/4 inch crack around the window, that's really not, because you have to tie it in all together, you know. Let's say the door has a crack, we call them corner cracks, and the door is not shutting down properly, then we might have issue with a little settlement and stuff like that. You got to tie it in together. So us home inspectors, we're trained to, like, you know, put those pieces together and, you know, show that to the client, like, hey, there's really nothing to worry about this, you know. Another thing, you know, roofing members, you know, like a lot of times, actually there's one guy I inspected for a multifamily. He wanted me to go walk on the roof, and I told him it's too, you know, because home inspectors or inspectors doesn't really need to go up in the roof, you know, as long as, you know, he has, he has the capability to use a drone or a pole. I think that's good enough. I mean, it's more than good enough, because some home inspectors will just view it from afar and then zoom the camera in, you know, and that's what sets me apart, because I don't do that, you know. I obviously use drone or, you know, a pole. So he wanted me to go up there because there's like he saw some low spots, and I was like, the low spot, you can't really tell from the shingles. Even if I go up there, you know, you can't really tell until you go down the attic, you know, because that's when you're going to see, you know, if the roof decking or the roof sheathing is rotted out.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes clients will be so wary or scared about the roof, but, you know, if there's no like shingles that's torn apart, or, you know, like there's no significant dip on the roof, or, you know, everything is in place, you don't have, because, you know, roofs are very expensive, you know, to replace. So I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, that's where we come in and be like, hey, you know, we're all good. You're good. It's not gonna go anywhere. Your roof is intact. You know, it's in good shape. It's gonna last you. You know, we can't tell them like how many years, but, you know, for me, I would know, because, you know, from the experience I experienced, you know, I had. Right. So I can tell them like, hey, you had like 5 years left on this, you know, because of the granule loss and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Julian, any final thoughts that you want to tell everybody, just about either what that transition's like, or how they can find you, or you know, how they get a hold of you if they'd like for you to do a home inspection?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, my company name is Plus Ultra Home Inspection. You can contact me at 314-669-4799. I also have a website called plusultrahi.com, and recently I started a commercial inspection division where we do multifamilies, office space, restaurants, all the commercial stuff. We do that as well. I started it last month, and we're looking to market it in the next few months once I fully transition out. It's called Chameleon Commercial Building Inspection. So you can reach me at 618-866-2140. That's my line for my commercial side. And I appreciate it for the invite. You know, this is my first time, like I mentioned earlier. You know, it's a good thing that you're doing all of this for the military members and for all the veterans, you know, first responders. This is really a good resource for them, and I appreciate it. And hopefully, you know, we'll be able to help more veterans and first responders, active duty. And yeah, I appreciate you for inviting me here.
Well, you are very welcome, man. You're the whole reason we do these things. And like I said, I'm excited to introduce you guys to one of our first home mortgage clients that's also a home foundation member, starting his own business. It's really exciting, man. I'm glad to have you here. Hey, guys and girls, you know, we always hear these talks about the economy, and, you know, it seems like we're always going into uncertainty all the time. And if there's something I've learned in the last 25 years of being in business, it's that the more hyper-local you treat your economy, the better your economy is going to be. And what I mean by that is, if you've got somebody in your subdivision that sells tires, well, maybe you should do business with them. Or if somebody's a hairdresser or they're a home inspector, whatever the case may be, the closer you can keep that business to home, the stronger your community's going to be. Well, for this community, we are military, law enforcement, and firefighters and their families. So the more of us that work together, the more of us that find people like Julian as they're transitioning into civilian life and help each other and stand on each other's shoulders, the better it's all going to be. Hey, the final shameless plug I've got for you, this stuff isn't free. We like to give donations every month. So if you haven't noticed, every month we give a $500 gift to a local charity that supports the military or first responder community. So if you know of one, we'd love to hear about it. If you would like to help us help them, we'll have some information down below in the description that you can make a donation, either one-time donation, a monthly donation, an annual donation, however you'd like to do that. We sure would appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to share, and don't forget to call Julie when you need that home inspection.
Yeah.
Have a great week, everybody.
Have a good one.